Solve 5p equals 24 minus 3p. Check your solution. First write the equation. 5p equals 24 minus 3p. Then add 3p to each side of the equation. Because 5p plus 3p equals 8p, and negative 3p plus 3p equals 0, 8p equals 24. Next, divide each side of the equation by 8 to get 8p divided by 8 equals 24 divided by 8. Because 8 divided by 8 equals 1 and 24 divided by 8 equals 3, p equals 3. Next, check your solution by first writing the equation. 5p equals 24 minus 3p. Substitute 3 for p. Notice that 5 times 3 equals 15 and 3 times 3 equals 9. And 24 minus 9 equals 15. So 15 equals 15. So the solution is p equals 3. Solve 2 times the quantity 3n minus 4 equals 5/10 times the quantity 10 minus n. First write the equation. 2 times the quantity 3n minus 4 equals 5/10 times the quantity 10 minus n. Use the distributive property on the left side of the equation. Multiply 2 times 3n and 2 times negative 4. Then use the distributive property on the right side of the equation. Multiply 5/10 times 10 and 5/10 times negative n. 2 times 3n plus 2 times negative 4 equals 5/10 times 10 plus 5/10 times negative n, which simplifies to 6n minus 8 equals 5 minus 5/10 n. Next, add 8 to each side of the equation to collect the constant terms on one side of the equation. Because negative 8 plus 8 equals 0 and 5 plus 8 equals 13, 6n equals 13 minus 5/10 n. Next, add 5/10 n to each side of the equation to collect the variable terms on the other side of the equation. Because 6n plus 5/10 n is 6 and 5/10 n, and negative 5/10 n plus 5/10 n is 0, 6 and 5/10 n equals 13. Then divide each side of the equation by 6 and 5/10 to isolate the variable. Because 6 and 5/10 divided by 6 and 5/10 is 1, and 13 divided by 6 and 5/10 is 2, n equals 2. So the solution is n equals 2. Solve each equation. Part A. 4 times the quantity 3d minus 1 equals 12d. First write the equation. 4 times the quantity 3d minus 1 equals 12d. Next, use the distributive property. Multiply 4 times 3d and 4 times negative 1. 4 times 3d plus 4 times negative 1 equals 12d, which simplifies to 12d minus 4 equals 12d. Next, subtract 12d from each side of the equation to isolate the variable terms on one side. Because 12d minus 12d equals 0, negative 4 equals 0. The statement negative 4 equals 0 is never true, so the equation has no solution. Part B. 21 minus 7w equals 7 times the quantity 3 minus w. First write the equation. 21 minus 7w equals 7 times the quantity 3 minus w. Use the distributive property. Multiply 7 times 3 and 7 times negative w. 21 minus 7w equals 7 times 3 plus 7 times negative w, which simplifies to 21 minus 7w equals 21 minus 7w. Next, add 7w to each side of the equation to isolate the variable terms on one side. Because negative 7w plus 7w equals 0, 21 equals 21. The statement 21 equals 21 is always true, so the equation is an identity. So the equation has infinitely many solutions. Paul bikes for 3 hours to reach his favorite beach. He bikes 2 miles per hour faster on the way back, so the trip back takes only 2 5/10 hours. How fast did he bike going to the beach? Use the distance formula distance equals rate times time. Notice that the distance to the beach equals the distance returning from the beach. Let x be the speed in miles per hour that Paul bikes to the beach. Using the distance formula for the distance to the beach, the distance to the beach equals x miles per hour times 3 hours. Using the distance formula for the distance returning from the beach, the distance returning from the beach equals the quantity x plus 2 miles per hour times 2 5/10 hours. Notice that the units for time cancel on each side of the equation. So the equation simplifies to 3x equals 2 5/10 times the quantity x plus 2. Next, use the distributive property. Multiply 2 5/10 times x and 2 5/10 times 2. So 3x equals 2 5/10 times x plus 2 5/10 times 2, which simplifies to 3x equals 2 5/10 x plus 5. Next, subtract 2 5/10 x from each side of the equation to isolate the variable terms on one side of the equation. Because 3x minus 2 5/10 x equals 5/10 x, and 2 5/10 x minus 2 5/10 x equals 0, 5/10 x equals 5. Next, divide each side of the equation by 5/10 to isolate the variable. Because 5/10 divided by 5/10 is 1 and 5 divided by 5/10 is 10, x equals 10. So Paul biked 10 miles per hour going to the beach.